Alright guys, welcome to my little, I guess you call it a guide on Invoker and the 2 to 3k MMR. First off, I'll just point out a few things. I find Invoker's the best for climbing this bracket, just because he is versatile, and he does scale well into end-game team impact fights, and then he's also got the global Sunstrike, so yeah, we'll get
Alright, let's
into it.
take a look at the Quas facet first. With the Agdam Scepter, as you can see, Invoker's Icewall gets upgraded. If enemies stay on it long enough, they get frostbited, very similar to CM's Frostbite. On paper, it sounds pretty strong, but in reality, it's pretty rare it's gonna pull off. I've only pulled it off once with a 5-man, and that was in a very specific game, and it didn't really add that much value. And given how expensive Ags is, it's not worth the investment to get this facet for the Ags, especially at this rank where you're unlikely to get the consistent value from it. I also tried the Shard in the game and paired it with Radiance. It did help with the last hits for sure, but it really delayed my early game utility items, which are way more impactful on shutting down their carries and their core. So overall, I just skip the Quas for now. It's really not worth it in the current meta, and there's way better options. Alright, secondly, now let's look at the Exort facet. Since the patch, I've also removed the extra meatball size from this facet. What you get instead is you've always got the Cataclysm and the Forge Spirits on a successful Sunstrike. Plus you get the standard 1 point extra on the facet you've picked, so Exort you get an additional level. That does add bonus damage to your other spells, as you can see, because you get an extra Exort levels. However, and obviously more right-click damage, but the payoff is mostly late game. Before the 20-minute mark, you're not going to get any value from this. Keep in mind, you can still benefit from the Exort's right-click damage without actually picking the Exort facet. So like you can go this, still put points into this, and up until like level 10, you're not going to get any benefit from not having that. On this, that being said, if your draft includes a lot of setup, like Chrono or Legion Commander, then this facet in 2 to 3k can shine because of the Cataclysm. So it's very situational and depends heavily on your team's draft. Finally, moving on to the Wex facet. In my opinion, this is the best choice for an Invoker match in the 2 to 3k MMR games. Gives you slightly better crowd control, which really matters at this level, especially since enemy teams often lack like 4-staffs or reliable supports to help their cores or their carries. Wex also shines in the team fights thanks to its mana drain, and particularly strong against heroes like Medusa. With the Shard, you can drain 775 mana, so here. And then on top of that, you get the 90% burn damage. So effectively, you can drain like 1,000 mana from somebody. It's particularly strong against heroes like Medusa. I found anyway, when you don't have a AM or whatnot. I rarely buy Ags with this facet though. I haven't really used the Ags, so I can't really comment too much if it's worth it or not. I'd say it's probably very situational, and for the gold it costs, there's usually better early game items to pick up. So overall, this facet brings a lot more utility and consistent impact during the team fights that you'll see at this MMR. Okay, now on to items. Now this is crucial for your mid lane. Everyone's a little bit different. I tend to go 1 Mantle of Intelligence, 2 Circlets, so you got a bit more sustain. And then normally, obviously, Tangos. And then depending like what the matchup is, I'll either go the Fairy Flyer or a Sentry, or your 2 Sentry Wards, or your Sentry and your Observer. Following that, the next straight upgrade is your Null Talisman. That's straight away. Followed by just Brown Boots. And then you meet us straight up. Now this, obviously you don't have very many utility items here, but this helps you farm greatly. And you should be able to get this within 9 minutes in 2 to 3k, if not earlier. Once I've done that, depending who I'm versing, I'll probably go an Atos if I need grab, depending on our draft. Um, or I'll start looking. Probably wouldn't go Shard. Shard's more core item. Or I'll go TP boots. So TP boots. That just lets you get the 30-second or 40-second cooldown. Lets you get around faster. And honestly, with these few items, you should be able to take most team fights. Um, Invoker's all about positioning and cooldowns. So I can't stress that enough. You need to be pinging your cooldowns for your team to know what's going on. Then I'd up that to clip now. If you really wanted to, you could get an Ags later. However, the next best item would either be a refresher orb, sorry, or a Octarine core. Where is it? Octarine core. Alright, just off the topic of builds, I'll just reset this. Alright, there's a couple main builds you can go. Primarily, always go Exort first in lane. That's the build we talk about. Alright, now, depending who you're versing and your confidence in not getting harassed too much and whatnot, you can either do Quas-Exort, so you got Cold Snap, Sunstrike, once it reloads, I'll go free spells, Sunstrike, then Forge Spirits. So that's just your standard Sunstrike, Cold Snap, and then you get your Forge Spirit out to help pop the Cold Snap. Alright, the other build that's unconventional, which not many people do, so this just scales, you just go bang, bang, bang until you get 4 in Quas, and then you'll have double Forward Spirits to help with farming. The one I've been trying lately is Quas-Exort, so this is literally all I do, just spam those two. And then probably about level 7 is probably when I put 1 point into Quas if I need it. If I've got a lot of lockdowns on the team, then I don't really worry about it. And this is just a standard like that, and the EMP. And normally I combo this with an Atos, and I farm with the Midas. Most builds, I pretty much Midas. The old school build you would have seen in a couple patches ago was a Quas-Wex build. I haven't tried it this patch. I'd imagine it would still be pretty good, so I'm probably going to give it a shot over the next few weeks and see how we go with like an Orchid and right click kind of build. The only thing with this build is you lose a lot of lane in damage, which makes it really hard to get last hits. So just keep that in mind if you're going to try to do the Quas-Wex. However, your Ghost Walk is a lot of mobility once it's leveled up a bit. But yeah, on to the next topic. About Invoker is I recommend also either coming into this demo mode, or some people really hate it, just playing a little bit of turbo if you're not familiar with the switches. So you should be able to cleanly at least do 3 spells. But you should get to the point where you utilize everything. So obviously this is 3 spells at the moment, but you should get to the point where you go like that. And you're using everything, including your ice wall. It took me a long time to get used to using your ice wall, but use your ice wall. It's very strong. Okay. This is always a question that comes up when I watch other streamers and stuff, is practicing combos, which we just went over, go to turbo. Probably the other one's the scenarios of the combos. So the go-to for most people is just bang, bang. This is probably the easiest. That's probably the easiest. However, I like to if I can, go bang, try get an ice wall down, swap to that, that. The ice wall, you'll see as the movement's slow, maxed out 200%. But yeah, normally when you're starting to use that, it'd be 60, 80%, and that just keeps them in that meteor a bit longer. So yeah, I highly recommend it. I'm trying to get used to that. You can either use Ghost Walk to initiate, roam the map, or escape, obviously. Um, the best tip for Ghost Walk is you'll see on here you get mana regen, and HP regen. So if you've just had a fight and you're going to another location to farm, just pop that on for a little bit. The cooldown's pretty low once it's maxed out. Um, yeah, it's like 30-second cooldown. So by the time you walk to your next spot, you're normally pretty good again. The next one is obviously Sunstriking. This is just you just got to practice this in games. Like I said, Turbo, you get really good at Sunstriking. Just be careful with Turbo though, because it can what do you call blind yourself to the fundamentals of Dota. Obviously, I'm no pro, but I did find coming back to last hitting and stuff after being in Turbo was pretty difficult just because of the extra damage you receive. Cold Snap's pretty standard. Everyone uses that. You can use Sunstrike into Cold Snap to keep him there, and then follow it up. Alacrity, I do use on myself to help farm. However, if you've got a Sven, a Clink, Sniper, anything like that, when you see a team fight about to kick off, try throw it onto them. Because I prioritize spells more than right clicks with majority of these builds. Apart from that, obviously the EMP we've been through. The Forge Spirit's pretty standard. At 4 Quas, you get 2. So just keep that in mind. And then obviously you got a talent where you can get an extra one as well, depending on which build you're going and whatnot. Um, but yeah, these help proc your cold snaps as well. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, apart from that, I think that pretty much covers all the spells. Like I said, if you want to get good at, like I've had people say do macro before. Um, I've just had, I'd say probably close to 500 to 1,000 Invoker matches now. Um, and yeah, it's not macro, it's just practice. Just practice and a lot of turbo games. Like I had a lot of turbo games before coming back to ranked. But the flip side of that is I struggle with the laning phase now. So just, yeah, like I said, keep that in mind. Okay, back to what I was explaining with why I reckon the Wex is dominant, especially against the Medusa, which is normally you wouldn't think Invoker would be crash shot against Medusa, but yeah, so like I got the shard now, 770 or 700 mana burn. So if I use this combined with the shard, that's close to it's at 900 to 1,000 mana burn. So just that one spell, you half a HP essentially, or a barrier. So obviously she's got no items, but yeah, it's very strong, especially if you've got a team to follow up. And you can just see she just melts. So yeah, highly recommend it if you're versing a Medusa. Right, another important one with your creeps, especially towards the end game. Send them to the tower. So if your creeps are within the backdoor protection range, if you don't know what that is on the actual map, just YouTube it. Someone will explain it. It's just a normal mechanic. So say if your creeps cross that line, and you can see a tower that's low or a tower that you want to push, just send your creeps in. Put alacrity on, probably not the first one, on the back one, and just start hitting the tower with your creeps, and then you can bail and go farm in the lane or farm in the jungle creeps as well. This, if you have a patient team, it can really change games because it's essentially like a nature's prophet with an alacrity on their creep that's just slowly
like dwindling away their towers. Um, that's probably the easiest backdoor. I've come back as an invoker on a 15k gold difference. Um, the biggest thing with invoker as well, like you kind of come online. You can play at any level, but you come more online around the levels 12 to 15. So prioritize XP. Like I said, the actual items. That's pretty much all you need. Shards bonus, Glypnia's bonus, Octaron's perfect. If you have that, you can pretty much fight any team fight. Like you don't need a hell of a lot of items. So just keep that in mind. So I hope this little bit of, well, I suppose you call it a tutorial, can help, even if it's a little bit. Obviously there's still the basics of Dota people need to understand. Like I said, Invoker's very positional and cooldown reliant until his late game. So ping those cooldowns. If your team goes in, even though you've done pinged your cooldowns, that's on them. Play around your carries. That helps a lot. And yeah, just overall, I do believe he's probably the best bet to climb your MMR in core. There's obviously other heroes which are a bit easier, but he's just versatile for almost any situation. So counters, etc., a lot harder. And then he scales well as well, and you can just build items depending on what you're up against. So yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, cheers. Leave a comment.